Hello, and welcome to Clueless Critics, where we critique, review, and analyze what we may not be qualified to criticize. I'm your host, Philemon, also known as Void on Instagram and my other various social media, and I'm joined today by my co-host.
Kyle Guillory. What's up, everybody? How's it going? You can
Yeah,
find me on Instagram at Fishgills.
mhm.
Also, follow me on Facebook as well under my actual name.
Yep. I'd like to issue an apology for my absence. I don't know about Fish. He might have been posting stuff, but mostly my absence. Family stuff with me coming back in, and we then went on vacation for 2 weeks in a car. And so, if any of you, just a PSA, if any of you are told that you're going to be on a trip, a cross country trip, not on a plane in 2 weeks in a car, don't do it. It's not worth it. By the time I came back, my knees were like, "See, you were 22. Now your knees are 55," and I've now had to live with that fact.
Yeah, yeah, we know
Uh,
how that is.
yeah,
We know how
man.
that is.
And then I don't know. I've just been a lazy piece of crap after we came back. Like I was just like, I'm not feeling, I'm not feeling like recording nothing. Ugh.
Yeah,
Or
I
like
understand that.
I just became lazy. To be completely honest, I got ideas, and I've been slowly making myself. But like, there's that, and then also I'm trying to study for this mortgage loan thing, which honestly I'm not the most psyched for, but I got to do it because loans and bills and stuff, and I have to be an adult and take responsibility for my actions. So there's that, which can sort of also bum you out and make you not want to do anything. um, but have to get to it. This dream ain't gonna make itself. Uh, yes. How you been, Kyle?
I've been pretty well now that the storm passed and sun's out. Everything's good for
Guns
now.
out.
Yeah, sun's out, guns out.
Is it still like? Can you still not like go outside? Is the water still like up
Uh,
like crazy?
no, actually, we're able to drive around. But as I was saying when we were first recording
Oh
before we
yeah,
had
this is
those
our second
issues,
take
second
because
is
I'm an idiot and didn't turn my mic on.
yeah. So,
Peek behind the veil, guys.
um, my area you can drive around. There's just
Hmm.
certain roads that are still a little flooded, and uh, like some stores are open. They
Uh,
have a limit to how many people can go in. Things like that.
uh,
Um, But for the most part, like right now, what started, uh, there's been lootings and robbing at gunpoint for
oh God,
groceries. Um,
people are desperate
yeah, getting a little crazy. So I mean, everyone's
for
not too.
groceries. Dang, dude,
Yeah,
that's crazy. Like it's not even like it's only one part of the country I understand, but like that's like some post-apocalyptic type. Like, dang.
right. Yeah, but I
Pray
mean,
for Texas, guys,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
You
then
know,
help them.
yeah.
Give
I
money, something.
Thankfully, though, haven't heard too much about that happening. So I'm thinking it's a little rare.
A little,
Hopefully, it's not a very
yeah.
common thing. But we do have a curfew going right now,
Mm,
so I mean maybe that's probably a result of the lootings and stuff.
the looting and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
Dang, bro.
but
Um.
yeah, we're all good now.
Oh, I would. I'm trying to figure out like. Uh. Okay. First, I guess I'm gonna start off with the funny one and then the more serious one. First, I saw this thing. Maybe it's not supposed to be funny, but I saw this thing on Instagram where this guy posted and he was like in Texas and he was like, "Oh, just so you guys know, there are sharks are now in the waters of our main highways."
Mm,
And I was geeked because I was like, "No, we can't just have Bruce and his cronies just be out in these streets already. Like, how much worse can it get?" Now we got Nemo and his squad out here, and then the other one was like, I wanted to ask you if you saw anybody that you knew had like property damage because I saw that sinkhole thing that happened on the highway, and I was like, this is not
Hmm.
okay.
Yeah,
Like,
there's actually. I mean, you could call it a sinkhole. That what I'm about to tell you, but it's basically just the ground gave out and like near this a friend of ours house, like they had a
mm,
neighbor across the street who their the ground, like their front yard actually just gave way, like, and just sunk. I
oh
mean, so
boy,
yeah, which is weird. I didn't even know that could happen, but um, that's all I
that
that's about all I've heard of that, and then like a part of the
bruh.
highway collapsing. Like that's
I wouldn't go outside after that. Actually, I'd be terrified to be in the house, but like low key, if I could just if I was just hearing stories like, oh yeah, and now the ground just is giving up, like it's just like, yeah, I'm not gonna support your weight anymore. I'd be like, you know what,
yeah,
I'm good, guys. I'm gonna just chill in the place where I think the ground is still like cool.
right, yeah, yeah. Other than that, I mean, like we do have a like I was saying before, we do have a friend who, they actually were rescued, on a boat, and they have video of water up to the height of their beds, inside the apartment, and they actually went back on a one of them went back on a boat with her brother, and took
Hmm.
video of her, like they're riding like a motorized boat. I don't know what the heck it's called, but just riding a little boat, like ride around the whole apartment complex is
Wow.
that was pretty crazy to see. It looks like a river in some areas, and it shouldn't, but it does.
Looks so basically you're telling me Houston is now just like Venice, Italy. Just people
Yeah,
people using boats to get around now. That's
yeah,
uh
and it's because they released 100% of the water from the reservoirs. So
so
to
flooding wouldn't occur.
yeah, to prevent the flooding that happened with Katrina in New Orleans,
Hmm.
prevent that from happening here. But I mean,
Is it
it's
bad over in like other states like New Orleans and stuff? Has it gotten there yet, or is it
well,
like just?
the hurricane hit them a little bit, like the tail hit them. I think it was the tail, and
Hmm.
then the majority of it came towards us. Then it's it's supposed to bounce back.
Okay.
I haven't checked yet today, but it was supposed to bounce back and then go to them. So hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully it doesn't come
God.
back to anyone, but it's supposed to bounce
Yeah,
back.
yeah. I heard it's supposed to stay in the Gulf. Like usually, like hurricanes like get out of the Gulf and just like dissipate in the middle of the Atlantic or something.
Hmm.
Um, but like evidently it's like going for like a victory lap or some shit.
Yeah.
And that's what concerned me. I've never heard a hurricane going into the Gulf and be like, you know what? I think I left something in Texas. Like,
Hmm.
what? No, leave. Don't come back. Don't. No. Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh.
Hopefully not, because then, dude, as much water as we've gotten, that would be really bad. Because Katrina, they got
Mm.
they got like, was it's 7 trillion gallons of water of rainfall, I think, or
God.
was how much they were hit, and then we got 15 trillion. So double that,
Yo.
and then that comes back. I mean, we're screwed, and then I think everybody's just gonna have to leave for a while. Like,
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I don't know if that part of Texas is gonna be habitable.
yeah, which I mean, that would suck. Hopefully, everybody would get out safe, but it'd just be
Would that mean your side? Would that mean your side? Like, would that mean like you and your family might have to move?
I would assume so, because even before they let the reservoir open, uh, we were actually getting flooding, like up our driveway, which we have really good drainage already, but it wasn't helping. Like we
Yeah.
were actually flooding, which was that was already crazy. So I mean, if we were to get that again, I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe it wouldn't, but you never know.
Maybe you should. You're, oh man, I don't want to. This is like a really downer of an opening, but would you guys be able to like, I don't know, move into someone who lives like on the east side of Texas or something, or
Well,
like,
what we would actually probably end up doing is just going up to Dallas for a bit because they actually didn't get hit at all,
okay,
and because we have family there, so that's probably what
cool,
we would do
cool,
for a while. It's
cool,
no big deal.
man. But that sucks because then you basically have to uproot yourself and then
Yeah,
try to restart.
all I need is a pen and paper. It's all good.
I mean, yeah, but I'm thinking about your broader family. I mean, you're good, dude. You're just like, bruh, I already have a specialized skill, dude. I could make money, like that as long as I'm alive.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. That's all that matters, honestly. Well, the money that's not what I meant. I just meant my happiness, dude. Like I'm
Yeah,
happy
yeah,
with
yeah,
it with
yeah,
a
yeah,
pencil
yeah,
and
yeah. I
paper.
got you.
You know, like that. Yeah, but exactly. As long as we're alive, dude.
We'll make it work.
Yep,
I got you.
yep. So, what are we going to talk about today, man? What do we got on the
Uh,
plate?
okay. So for the first section, we're just gonna critique the crap out of comics
All right.
because we're both we're both enthusiasts slash aspiring comic book makers and artists. So we have a couple of comics. And when I say couple, I mean between the two of us, metric butt tons that
What?
that we've read
Oh, yes.
and
Or watched,
or
whatever.
watched
Yeah.
or watched the TV version
Right.
or and so we have like just this we have a couple reservations and great things about the medium that we want to talk about. And then later on, I guess we're just going to be talking about motivation and such. So tune in, strap in, uh, and get ready. I I particularly want to talk about. I particularly want to talk about at first the difference I find between comic books in I guess Japan and comic books uh in America.
Okay.
Um maybe even the view of them. Maybe we should start with a broader stroke and just say like the view of them.
Yeah.
Would you agree that in like they in Japan at least in their industry a lot of the people sort of view it as a medium more than this thing for like nerds or kids.
Right. Yeah. Totally. I think overall, pretty much it's common knowledge that that's kind of the view for
Hmm.
both ways. Like it, the only people I know of, like in my family, for example, that ever read comics or would be like my
Mm-hmm.
dad and my uncle.
Yeah.
And
Oh, and it's very male intense in the in America and I assume Europe.
actually, I take
But
that back. It's funny you say that because my stepmom
mm.
actually has a ton of comics from like the 80s, but I mean
Oh,
they're
okay.
they're specifically like, oh man, I think it was there's a female group of like superhero fighters that
Oh, okay.
they're like a singing group. I think it's no, I want to say Josie and the Pussycats, but that's not it. But
Josie and the
basically, it
Pussycats.
would be like your equivalent of what's the one for girls in Japan? What's it called?
Shoujo?
Yeah,
Is it
it'd be like
the that
equivalent of
that's
that.
more like teenage girls,
It,
but yeah.
it'd be like that equivalent, I guess.
Yeah. It's crazy, right? Because like I guess they do have the similar audiences for comics here, but like it feels like it's much more evenly from my perspective obviously,
Hmm.
but like it seems like it's much more evenly like broadcasted and explored for different like their different audiences, right? Like I guess we could break it down. There's the if I remember right, there's the shonen, which is made for teenage boys.
Hmm.
Then there's Seinen, which was made for adult men and above, right?
Right.
Then there's the equivalent for the females, which is shoujo, which is teenage girls stuff. That's the audience is primarily them. And then there's what is it? Uh, I
Isn't
forget.
it Johei?
Josai,
Jo
Josai,
Josai? I thought it was Johei.
Josai, something like that, where it's like the equivalent for adult woman, and like as you can expect, the themes it allows for them their comics to explore themes that
Very wide variety of themes.
very
Huge.
wide variety of themes
It's
where
it's similar to us in movies. Like,
yeah, basically they view their comic books as they view their movies, really, which is interesting. Um, and it allows for more storytelling, even though there are tropes for each audience type, obviously, just like there are tropes for every audience type for movies, right? But still, I feel like if that's the one critique for comic books in America, it's that, and then also that they're ruled by like
three companies, two.
three or four companies. Like at least Japan has like, of course, Shonen Jump is like crazy, but like they still have like billions of other magazines that are just there that are just like have their own stories.
Yeah,
So it's like maybe it's just maybe that expression comes from the fact that they just have more competition.
yeah,
Like the bigger companies have more competitions that are also conglomerates. It's weird, like because I feel like there's a lot of indie comics that do what we were talking about that the Japanese industry do, but because they're indie and they're sort of by themselves, maybe they just don't have that marketing push like
right.
a company who's willing to take your story and like you're together with other people who's willing to push that as well.
Yeah,
Maybe that's it.
the only, I mean, not the only one, but the only one I can think of. I'm sure there's others. Companies that support independent comic book artists or writers, whatever, would be Image Comics, because
Image, yeah.
you can actually make your comic, send it to them, and then they'll decide whether or not they take it on and market it for you and everything. But that's probably their it's probably the best example I can think of it for that. But other than
Hmm.
that, if you're independent, I guess now
Maybe
it would just
webtoons.
be, yeah, that, and just building your audience and funding a Kickstarter, or doing a Patreon
True,
thing or
true,
something
true,
like
true,
that.
true, true.
Which I think, dude, the
Actually,
options have gotten bigger. It's
they have.
just
It's
finding the
just the
audience.
popularity. Yeah,
Yeah.
getting the audience and making it pop off. It'd be interesting. I think webtoons like Naver, you know them. They
Hmm.
started out in Korea. Korean comics are really interesting too because they don't really do, from what I've noticed, they don't really do a lot of published books, but their webtoon scene is immense.
Hmm.
Um, uh,
Which makes
so
sense.
they
It's less
started.
cost.
True, but like they're starting to come over here and they have like an American branch for Naver Webtoon where I'm seeing a lot of like indie comic book people get on there. And I'm wondering if maybe Naver can like supplant themselves or put themselves up there as like, you know, you know, push themselves as like another alternative to like DC and all of them, get some really popular comics out there, get a really good marketing push. It's just one of those things where Marvel, DC, and Image and what there's another one, Dark Horse, I guess. I
Yeah,
don't know
Dark
if Dark
Horse.
Horse is still, but like Marvel and DC are just the oldest, so they're just so supplanted in the American psyche, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
It's kind of like Apple and iPhones. It's just obviously
yeah,
they're after DC and Marvel, but that's an example of it. Like when people think, "Oh, I want a great phone," they don't think of anything else other than an iPhone most of the time.
I iPhone, maybe Android.
Yeah, and it was, I guess it was Galaxy for a while, the Samsung
Yeah,
Galaxy, till it blew up a few times.
yeah, and then they're like, nah, B, I ain't trying to die.
Yep. I ain't trying to.
Yeah, Yeah, that hurt them heavy. But they're fine. They make TVs, so
Yeah.
Samsung will be great.
Yeah, I mean, because if you think about it, it's in every industry. Like there's
Yeah,
just like with computers, there's a million like gaming computer makers out there, but no one knows about them. Like
yeah,
your average consumer doesn't know about them. Like someone
yeah.
who's
It's like
really into it.
Alienware. That one guy with the squiggly line.
Mm-hmm.
That's times three. I don't know the name of that company.
Yeah,
Those are like the two famous ones. So like branding is really important for comics, I guess. Sadly, which breaks down like which really breaks it down, like
the competition part of it for sure.
yeah, I think the internet has helped, which I fully support the whole like breaking down of like the gatekeepers sort of deal.
Yeah,
Um,
which
which
she,
is why I advocate for a free internet. FU
yeah.
FCC trying to make it so that the conglomerates can do whatever they want with
Wait,
IPs. No.
I haven't kept up with that recently though.
Yeah.
We don't
I
need to get
remember
too off
during this
topic, but
remember during the summer there was a thing about it, obviously, but like the thing that concerns me is that there's so many things going on. I'm concerned one of these things is going to distract us while they're like pulling stuff behind the scenes that we're not noticing.
right. Yeah, I've
And
already
I'm just
sent like
like,
two friggin' paragraph,
emails?
yeah, like
I did that.
essays worth of
Yo,
stuff to it.
Yo, I remember the first time I did it. I started roasting. I was roast. I was like, "You guys are idiots. You really need to stop, and you need to fire that guy with his big mug that nobody cares about. Seriously, like, you guys understand why we don't want this to happen, right?
Yeah,
Don't try to butter us up and be like, oh, but it's actually great and it's not actually gonna stop. No,
yeah, it would
no,
kill all sorts of competition and progress. The
like
like limiting the
for a
sharing
cat.
of information. First of all, oh my god,
Like, okay, here's the thing that gets me, right? Here's the thing that really gets me, right?
hmm
I don't want this to be about politics. But the people who are in power right now are the right. And my parents are Republicans. It's cool. It's whatever.
hmm
Um but how can you be that so much for like they're branded as the people who are all about capitalism. But when you give power to the big companies, that's like starkly anti-capitalist, isn't it? Like, didn't we go through this in like the Industrial Revolution, like with the monopolies? Like, no,
yeah,
no.
yeah. I think even though there are definitely laws in place to prevent a monopoly from happening, it still sort of
Like
happens. Like not,
duopolies, they just
yeah,
like they're just like we won't f with you, don't f with us, and then we'll
exactly,
crush all the competition.
yeah.
Why do you why do you think there's only like four major ones? They act like they hate each other, but in reality they're just like, yeah, let's just keep it between us and don't let anybody come through.
Oh my gosh. But hey, dude, it still relates. It still relates.
Oh,
Marvel and DC. It still
bruh.
relates.
Oh,
And they're great. They do their thing. They definitely need more competition so that they improve on certain aspects of
yeah,
their comics
more
that need
big,
to be changed.
more big competition. Hey, do you want to just make a big comic book studio in like 20 years when we're established,
I mean, I
and
don't
just be
want to
like,
run a single thing. I just want to make the
make
thing.
comic?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to make comics with you.
Heck
I would
yeah.
I would just get a business guy to run the business. I just wanted to like maybe make a union where we just like advertise stuff for each other. I don't know. It's just I just want to break it up. Like obviously in capitalism, and especially in stuff like entertainment, it always helps to have competition
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
that forces everybody else to get good.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
So I don't know, man. It just
You don't have to wait that long, too. 20 years is a long time.
yeah, I know. I was just giving us like time
Give me this
so that
time. I feel that.
so that we could like completely revolutionize the comic book industry.
I feel that.
Give yourself big goals.
Yes, I agree with that. Absolutely.
Yeah, completely revolutionized the comic book industry. If we fail, what happened? We just made really good comic books. Okay, I'm
Fair
fine with
enough.
that failure.
Fair enough.
um,
Or decent, because if they're really good, then we would revolutionize it. If they aren't really good, then we won't
well,
revolutionize. They'll just be
here's the
like,
thing. Here's the
okay,
thing about being really good. Here's the thing about really being really good in the comic book industry or any industry in general. It's just like I've noticed you can be really good, but if people don't know that you're really good,
true,
it's like we have to also we all yeah you also have to take care of like the people knowing who you are side of things, which is something I feel like maybe a lot of artists don't want to get into. Like I've noticed a lot of artists, and I'll get back to comic books. They're just like I just want to make, I just want to
right,
create.
right,
But if you're by
yeah,
yourself, you still have to care about people knowing you exist.
absolutely. And I feel like I get that same kind of feeling sometimes, like when I'm off
I
doing
get it
my
all the
own thing.
time.
Yeah, when I'm off doing my own thing, I'm like, it's a scary feeling because you're like, I'm okay with being off doing my own thing. I don't want to do anything else. And then
Yeah,
and then you realize, wait, if I don't do anything else, nobody's going to know that I'm doing this stuff. If I don't talk to other
exactly.
people, no one's going to know I'm doing this. Uh,
Like it's a necessary thing, and it doesn't necessarily need to be like you don't need to be in the Bat Cave by yourself. Even freaking Batman has a Bat family, dude.
mm-hmm.
Can't do that just by himself, dog.
Yep, I agree.
Superman got a Superman family, dog. Like he literally has a son and a wife and like his cousin and a super dog. Like,
Yep.
come on now. Man can't do it himself, dog. And don't let's not forget the freaking Justice League.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway,
Hey, man,
uh,
it works.
no matter how powerful you are, you still need someone. You're only as powerful as the team behind you, right?
Yep.
Um,
Beside you. It's just
yeah,
behind you
beside you.
crap. Beside you, man. Together.
Hey, man.
Equals.
Sometimes they need to be behind you so they can kick you in the butt to get stuff done.
Fair enough. That's a good way to put it. I like that.
Uh, what else? So yeah, we're going back to comic books, and so it was one of my critiques with the comic book industry. It doesn't seem like the big guys are willing to have crazier stories, and
I
and
think
even with, go ahead.
well, I think the artists and writers would be okay with it. I think they're actually really I think they're all interested in doing it. It's
Oh
just it's
yeah,
not their decision, you know.
it's not that. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
in there with the company. Yeah.
Yeah.
Editors have a lot of sway. Also, it's just branding, I guess. I don't know. People have already become fanboys of certain things, so you
Right.
have the best you can do is sort of sneak it into the story rather than just like start it out somewhere else. I don't know.
Yeah, and I don't
Then
think
you have to figure out. You have to. Marvel and DC are very much about sales,
right.
so the risk reward of new idea, will it make money versus tried and true. You know, it's in constant flux, right?
Yeah. I think they've done plenty of no, there's been plenty of changes to the overall, like if we're talking specifically like what you're saying to me earlier before we started recording, the silhouettes of characters and stuff, there's been changes to that. Like just
Oh yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
looking
yeah,
at the
yeah.
Hulk as an example, like when they first
Oh,
made him,
definitely.
he looked like a caveman, a
Yeah,
small
just a
caveman,
slightly bigger man.
slightly bigger man. Now he's
It's like a
huge,
freaking huge.
and yeah, he's just hulking muscle Hulk.
Yeah.
He's just awesome. Looks awesome.
And
So,
then
man, you know, I actually really like a lot of the characters from.
Marvel.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like certain, like the Justice League TV show, for example, was a terror. Like it fits
It was
into
a
that
it
cookie
was a
cutter thing where everyone's same
yeah,
body type. Like
literally
yeah,
same body type.
yeah. Like that's an example of when it wasn't so great. Like I
Um
still watched it like
Yo, that
twice.
show was
It was still
flames. Don't
awesome.
lie. John Stewart, best lantern.
Dude, it was great. It was great.
Don't get me wrong. Hal Jordan has been like every color, and Kyle Rayner is literally the lantern of life or whatever. But John Stewart is my nigga,
Yeah.
dude. I don't give two craps.
Yep.
John Stewart is my dude. He's just out there. He's out here in space
What?
banging hot girl.
Oh, Hawk
Remember?
Girl? What?
Yeah, you remember Justice League Unlimited when they got together,
Oh,
bro?
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right. That's right. Okay.
And I was just
For
like,
whatever reason,
you
I thought
get
it.
that redhead, fam.
For whatever reason, I thought he and Wonder Woman were together. I don't know why, but
No, that
that.
was Batman
Yeah, I
and the
know.
Justice League thing. They were always flirting.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, but it's funny because even though their silhouettes were very similar, because of the body types, there was still variety in each
In the
character.
color scheme.
Yeah, well, color scheme, but in on like more of a writing example, and
Right,
then
right.
the
Yeah, yeah,
voice
yeah, yeah.
actors, that
Of
everything
course.
else was put in like to
Really
place
well
really
to
well. Yeah.
make it forgiving.
Well, yeah, and you don't it doesn't even really matter. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, some people would probably disagree with that, but I don't think it mattered too much. But it's just a
It would have
little,
been better.
yeah, it'd
Yeah,
just be a
it's a
little
little
more,
off-putting when you get into art and you realize, wow, they're all the same height.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I don't know if that exists in real life, dog.
yeah, because there's
All got the same jaw shape, jaw structure.
another example I can think of is Dark Side. There's one movie, one
Mhm.
animated movie they had him in where he was 2 or 2.5 times the height of Superman,
Everybody.
and
Yeah.
and he was just huge,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and it
yeah.
was and it was great. And then
Hmm.
I think was he in one of the movies, or no,
Oh, he
he was
probably
in.
was.
My bad. He was in the Injustice 2. They added him into
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Injustice
yeah,
2.
yeah. As
He's
an extra character,
Yeah,
right?
he's
Yeah.
bigger, but he's only slightly bigger. And
Slightly bigger. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
and
yeah.
man, and I just really love that, that hulking
Hulking one.
huge
Well, they did the
size.
same thing for Brainiac, right? Isn't Brainiac really tall too
I'm not
in
sure.
Injustice?
I don't know. I don't
Like
know.
he's like
I haven't
half
seen it.
a he's like a head taller than everybody else.
Oh, I don't remember. I don't know.
But still, it's like okay.
They look great. It's just
Yeah,
their size. The size difference is like it's. I think
I
it's
will
because
say
they're going for that realistic look,
yeah,
uh, and they're not pulling away from it too much. Which
yeah.
I think they even decreased the size of Bane from the first game, but I wasn't really sure. Like, he looked a
Mm.
little bit smaller, which
I
is
feel like
really
the
weird.
things were a little bit more exaggerated in the first game. Honestly, I think they went for a little bit more for realistic body proportions in this one.
Yeah. Yeah, which I
Um,
mean that I don't know if they're trying to relate the game to the movies. Maybe that's like the deal they got going on
maybe,
right now. I don't maybe that's what it
maybe,
is. But
maybe. It wouldn't surprise me if they have skins for like the Justice League movie or whatever,
yeah, cuz they had
because you know
one.
the whole skin thing.
Yeah, they had the Man of Steel skin for Superman in the
Yeah,
first game.
of course, and they probably have the Batman. I think they definitely have the dark. They if they don't have the Dark Knight trilogy skins,
I
they
would.
they they messed up.
Yeah,
They
I'm pretty sure
also
they did.
and then if they don't have the Batman v Superman skin, they probably also messed up.
Oh
Because
man,
that's just like a duh, based off of one of the best Batman comic books of all time.
they actually released three, I think, three new characters uh,
Oh yeah,
recently, and
Starfire.
what?
The thing I love most about that game is just the voice lines, like at the beginning, where
Yeah,
they
when
they tell you the little story stuff. If you know comics, you're like, ah,
when they
ouch.
kind of like talk to each other. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah. Or like when they like do the clash
yeah,
in the middle of the fight.
yeah.
The one with Starfire versus Robin is so bad because it's just like you killed the one person I love, and he's just like it was an accident, and you're like, ah, damn it, Dick, why'd you have to go and die?
Uh, oh Oh my gosh.
Man,
There,
Dick Grayson, best Robin.
Dick
I just
Grayson,
like him.
best Robin.
OG best Robin. He's just I don't give a crap about who if Tim is smarter or what's his face, the guy with the guns, he's edgier. I don't
Hey
give a I
man,
just like Dick
you
cuz he's
know,
just I could hang out with the guy. I could be like, "Yo, you know what? You don't seem like you have mental problems after hanging out with Batman. There's something special about you."
so I don't know, man. I'm a little bit on the Jason Todd team because just
Edgelord
not
McGee.
not because I like him. I like I like
His
uh
story was
I
good.
like
I'm
the
not gonna
story of
deny
him.
that.
Yeah.
The story was great. I'm not arguing that at all.
I like characters who've got a little bit of that descent to into madness type of thing going for them, you know? That
Mm,
it's always just really interesting to me. So, which I mean, like I can just pick out one from like anything. So,
mm,
Hunter x Hunter, like
mm,
one of my favorite
mm,
shows ever. Hisoka
mm,
is my favorite character. Like he's like maybe top 3 out of any
mm,
series, just because
mm.
he's weird, but
He's
very
strange.
he's very strange, but he's really cool and interesting.
Mm.
Oh man,
I could, I could. That's an interesting conversation to have. Interesting villains. We might have to put a pin on that.
yeah, we'll talk about that at another
Interesting,
time.
or just interesting anti characters. I guess I don't know.
Right.
But that being said, I'm just like sitting here like we were talking about manga and stuff, but we got sidetracked heavy. But it's whatever. It's still comic books.
Still comic
Is this one
books.
of is this one of those things where like if I were to go into shonen, because we're like right now we're like critiquing the aesthetic of it, but then we could get into the stories of things where it's interesting to me. There are long running shonen, right,
Yeah.
that go on forever and ever. And like One Piece, the guy's like on chapter 2000 or something, and he's like, they got interviewed him, and he's like, yeah, we're just about barely halfway through the One Piece story, and we're
That's
just like, you've been doing
that's
this since 1990, like six, dude.
that's scary, dude. That's so that's insane.
We still have 20 more years of One Piece. I'm gonna have a family and kids
Yeah. So yeah,
by the time this dude is done.
and yeah, and speaking of that story itself, like there's so much. Like there hasn't been a time where I felt like, wow, this is unnecessary. Like
No, that's the crazy thing. He's kept the pace. Everything, like his character design, his pacing, everything is just like I don't understand how he can keep going,
yeah,
but he can,
yeah.
and it's still not bad. Like I'm still interested to figure out what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the thing that helps is that he planned for it to be this long.
Yeah.
Like as a critique towards manga, sometimes if you've ever read Bakuman, you sort of it's like a manga about two characters who are trying to get into the manga industry and becoming mangakas and stuff, and it's like based itself on Shonen Jump. So it opens your eyes on like how the Japanese industry works, right? The author and writer are the same team that made Death Note. So you see parallels in the main character stories to their own. So it's interesting because if you're it's right like how a story ends, especially in shonen stuff, is on based on popularity. Not too similar, not too dissimilar, but it's more like the rankings, like people vote in their rankings as opposed to sales. Where in America, sometimes a story will end or they'll tell you wrap up once they see the sales start to decline and get weird. Um, so
I mean, because isn't it? Aren't they released within like a magazine or something?
yes,
Okay, so it's the sale of the magazine is dependent on how popular the stories are within them,
hmm
right? I mean, that makes sense, which is why they would take polls so that they know
polls,
what
right?
people are interested in and
So
what they continue with.
Yeah, well, so like, but you can see where the flaws in that system could lie, right? There is an interesting story, manga story called Psyren, Psyren. If you look it up, you can probably find it. I don't know if there's any manga you can buy. If you can, get it. It was interesting, but it didn't catch enough people to keep going, so it sort of ended in an abrupt way. You feel me?
Hmm.
And you can sort of tell by the ending if you read it. It had a lot of potential. Then there's another manga, um, and then there's also the elongation of certain manga. You could tell with Naruto or Bleach or some of them that they weren't planning on going as long as they wanted.
Right.
As like the editors were like, or people were telling them to go. Like they caught this, and then like you can sort of tell like, and definitely in certain arcs where it was like, okay, you weren't planning for this, like to do this much or to have these characters. Um, Evidently, Sasuke wasn't supposed to exist in the original version of Naruto, but the editor was like, "Hey, put him in. He needs a rival character because shonen tropes, shonen battle manga tropes. You always need the rival character who has the opposite demeanor to the main character."
Huh.
uh, think about it. Started with Goku. Vegeta came through, opposite demeanor, happy-go-lucky Goku. If you have a serious character who's your main character, the opposite rival character or best friend is like the happy-go-lucky one.
Hmm.
Like, and and it sort of restricts writing, which is a knock on manga.
You
But one of the thing with all those knocks, you can still say though they end.
right.
Like
They end. Oh my
they
gosh.
there's an ending eventually at
Yeah.
some point.
I.
With comic books, it gets to a point where like you look at a character like Superman, and he's going through all this character development, and then you're just like, in the back of your head, he's gonna reset. He's gonna be like a snot nosed kid again. Like he's gonna have to learn again. He's gonna like so if you're in like it doesn't feel like it feels like I don't know. To me, it gets to a point where all the character progression or whatever that a character goes through seems cheapened through a reboot.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
you feel me? Like I don't know. Maybe with the DC, eventually, DC has this DC versus Marvel, right? Marvel's starting to get into this, but DC more often has characters or titles that are like passed down. It seems now, like especially with the Green Lanterns, like there's been millions of Green Lanterns, right? So like the next Green Lantern could be some dude, right? And I think I hope that they're doing that with Superman. That eventually Superman's son becomes the new Superman.
Right.
You know, like there's like a passing of time. I was like, because I'm thinking, right, especially with Superman, Batman, you can always sort of write for because he's a man who's just like really smart. So he has enough weakness. Superman's really hard to write for because he's low key perfect. And he was created to be perfect in a time where people were going to war and they needed hope. But like after that, it was like, how do we make him interesting?
That's which is why they added in that whole thing of him potentially being the thing that everyone has to fight against with his whole.
Yeah,
It's
it
crazy.
makes him it makes him interesting because he could be a great final villain.
Right.
Like, how do you beat someone who's supposed to be unstoppable mostly? Um, but also, it's like he's very tricky to write for because people have attached themselves to him, right? So in my head, one of the fixes I've had for maybe Superman is make him like go through his character thing, right? But then make him a side character. He literally can be the old wise man that gives you advice, especially at this point where he's like, I've been like in the decades of superhero history. I've been doing this for like years. Like especially with like I would love it for the new Superman eventually that they do a time skip to have his son Jonathan Kent, who's half human, half Superman, right? Or Kryptonian, be learning his stuff and then be like, "Yo, Dad, I need advice." like, like have an old Superman come in and be like, "Yeah, man, I'll help," or like, and then eventually be like have Superman leave or whatever, or do something and like or die, and then new Superboy has to learn how to do this without Daddy.
Yeah.
At least it'd be interesting because he's actually half human, so he can actually have weakness.
You know,
um,
and if I don't know enough about his, like you said, he's hard to write for. I don't know enough about his character development to come up with anything, but uh, he sounds like that. For example, I have a brother, and
mhm.
he doesn't. He's the type to not get into big arguments, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And well, he'll only say his piece like when it's necessary, or
Hmm.
like if you ask him. And I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that's I feel like that's kind of the equivalent, because like from the outside you feel like you don't know the person, you know. Of course, I
Hmm.
know my brother very well. Fuck, we're best friends, but
Lived with him. Yeah.
yeah, but um, from the outside you feel like you don't know them, but
Mm.
that there's still a point, even people who aren't very talkative get to a point where they start to say more, and it's usually, if we're comparing real life to
Yeah.
a character, it's usually just genuine like advice type stuff, or a little
Yeah.
bit of jokes here and there, or
Hmm.
it's usually it's like all those years of being uh like quiet and reserved have like allowed
Yeah.
them to develop on the inside, think about what they
Yeah.
say
They think a
before they
lot.
say it. Yeah,
Yeah.
which is, which I think that fits with what you're saying. The old wise man, he wouldn't
Hmm.
say much. He wouldn't have to. It would just be like here and there a little bit of advice, and then just like maybe like as he's watching his son do something, a little smirk, or like
Yeah.
just a little bit
Which
of
which
expression.
I will say him coming back and being married to Lois and having a son is probably one of the most interesting things for Superman to go through because at the like it's him in a new way, right? We've
Right.
never seen Superman be a parent before.
Right.
And not only that, a parent to a child that has superpowers that we don't know how they're going to kick in because he's also half human.
Right.
Um, so that is an interesting thing. I will say that that part of DC Rebirth is great. Superman as a dad is giving him new doubts because, like, the thing I've heard about being a parent is when if your first thing is when you see your child, you're like extremely happy, right? There's this extreme uh, ecstaticism, and then afterwards, it's like every day of your life, you're like scared because you're like, what's gonna happen to my kid? I don't, I don't want my kid. And then imagine if your kid's literally like related to the most powerful being who has a lot of enemies. It does give Superman a humanizing element because he has to worry about somebody other than himself,
Right.
who's not as powerful as himself, you know. And he doesn't want to say the right thing, meaning well, say the wrong thing, meaning well, and then turn his son down a path of, you know, evil or whatever, right? Same thing with
Hmm.
Batman. Same thing with Batman. Obviously, he sort of had this role with all the Robins, but having Damian Wayne, who's his actual blood son, being a Robin, it gives Batman that whole like, crap, I have to parent. Like, I have to be also more than Batman. Like, I have to be Bruce Wayne and Batman the dad. Like, also interesting. I will give DC Rebirth this. It's very interesting. Batman is actually sort of moving forward in his life. Okay, so quick plot point. They're doing this whole thing about people, their memories being removed for 5 years because of the New 52, right? When they rebooted, and now they're starting to get their memories back. Like, and then Batman's realizing 5 years of my memory have gone, right? There's this. story he did with the Flash, where the Flash him go through the time stream, and then they go to the Flashpoint universe, right, where Bruce Wayne died and his dad became Batman,
Right.
and then you see Bruce like break down, and he's like, "Dad, you could come back with us," and he's like, his dad's like, "No, I have to stay here," but also, Bruce, I have one last piece of advice for you, as like the world's like warping and stuff, and he's like, "Don't be Batman." And then like you see him warp, and they warp out, and Bruce just crying,
Wow.
right? And it's like you you know he's like basically it's like, Bruce, you're not moving forward in your life because of this pain that you have. Don't be Batman. Live, have a wife, have a family, keep moving forward. Obviously, he doesn't stop being Batman, but an interesting thing is he proposes to Catwoman.
Hmm.
And it's like everybody's like, "Oh my." Like he's actually moving forward because he's like he like the whole his whole inner monologue as like he's working with Catwoman at this point is like, I was afraid of moving forward, not necessarily because of the danger, but because of myself or whatever. And like the psychology of it was great, right? Um, and then he's like, because of what his dad said, he's like, I I gotta move forward, and it's just like, yes, character progression. But then in the back of my head, I'm like,
it
crap,
it
it's
oh
DC. It's
it
gonna reboot.
it only took 80 something years.
I mean, it's the same thing with when Mary Jane and Peter Parker got married, and then like they had that horrible storyline where the devil's like, "I want your marriage," and now he's not married to Mary Jane, and you're just like,
uh,
"Great, there goes good old character progression for Spider-Man." It's one of those things, right? Where in the comic book industry, I've heard that you can't have them married for too long, unless they started out married, like the Fantastic Four. You can't have them married too long. You can't have them be in one place too long. They always have to reset, and you have to always have to make it interesting or exciting. And that's the problem, right? That's what happens when you don't let like a character's story end and move on to another thing.
yeah.
Um, it's eventually it's just maddening if you're in comics because you're just like, well, things are gonna just reset, and all this great character progression I saw might not happen next time because a writer might actually be bad.
Yeah, that's true.
Um,
Wow. That's that's why, my
that's why I like manga so much. I'm like, you get one good writer over who's presiding over his universe, and eventually the story will end.
yeah. Yeah, and that's why like my first goal is, I guess technically I kind of already did it, but is make a story and finish it. That's it.
Dude,
Just make a story and finish it. I did that little
just
6 page
finish
one,
it.
but like
Oh, are
little
you talking about the one? Are you
that's
talking about
hardly
the
a
one with
story. It's more like
yo? But you're talking about the one that you did.
the
Okay,
little punch and thing.
aside.
But
Oh
like
no! What happened to that? Okay, audience. My man Fish has been practicing his comic book making, right?
not recently,
And
just been painting and drawing.
yeah, but he's getting all this technical stuff out the way. But he has been practicing his comic book story stuff. He had a story before this one he just mentioned where he had this interesting concept of this like godlike being of vengeance.
Oh, that's right.
And I was like, and I'm
It
like,
was way
it
too
peaked.
dark.
Was it though? I don't think it was too dark. I wanted that published somewhere. Just like put it on the internet. Just be like, hey, I made this.
I guess I could go back to it. I mean, I think since then I've written like 5 or 6 stories. I just haven't done anything with them.
Mm. Oh, so you've written them down?
Yeah, I have. I do like Google Docs or little notes or whatever.
Yeah, maybe I should just write my stories before I draw them out. I was thinking about like writing them down as I do the story, but maybe I should just write them down because I'm. Like, should I tell them? Should I tell them what I'm doing, Kyle?
If you feel like it, if it's not too, if it's not gonna impede you from completing the goal, I guess.
Yeah, like you know that whole like don't
Yeah,
tell people so
don't
you
tell until you're
feel
done. If you're not done, then don't tell anyone. That's all I'm gonna say.
okay. I have something in the works. That's all I'll say. I have something in the works, and I have a couple of people I have on my advisory board who may not know that they're on the advisory board, but they're on the advisory board. And Kyle, you're on the advisory board.
Well, I know I
Uh,
am because you told me.
yeah, I know you do, but I have like a couple people who might listen to the podcast who, if you and I have talked about stories at one point, there's a good chance you're on the advisory board. um, yeah, it's just, man, we really talked about manga, dude.
Heck yeah,
It's
dude.
just, there's a whole lot of things that we could talk about, like character design, silhouettes, their willingness to have like, they are willing to have a sports manga. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But you're just able to have like a story about sports, like and like growing up and just stories about like literally being a high schooler in Japan in like the various tones of ridiculous to really realistic to being artsy and being everything being a metaphor and like there's, there's something about their willingness to be deep in manga
Sometimes
that
corny as well.
sometimes corny that is really attractive and I don't doubt that it exists here in America. But maybe, oh, excuse me. But maybe the reason why, oh man, this is a good topic to talk about. Maybe the reason why is it doesn't pop off is like things like that aren't on like Crunchyroll or like various manga reading sites that are illegal but are popular. Um, maybe that's why it doesn't pop off.
Just because it's
You
not
know,
on there.
not online. Because I'm thinking like all these people who translate and scanlate are very much like you never think about it. The redrawers, the people who take the scans of Japanese stuff, scan it in, redraw the lines digitally so it looks clean, translate it, and then like put it up. They're very much a big reason why anime and manga is popular.
Hmm. Yeah, that's
Just
true.
because they ease of access. Think about it. People who used to do dubs of stuff in the mid 2000s, like fan dubs or like fan translations of anime, are a big reason why there's anime fans today. So it's weird to think about, but the legal scene for a lot of media has made it so that that media is more popular
Yeah,
in the
more
West.
successful.
Where, as opposed to with stuff that is like stuff that's online or stuff that's in the West, because it's in the West, it's a lot harder to show to people, right? And then you have to make the cost buy-in, you know,
Yeah, that it's
where as
weird.
opposed whereas opposed to being like with manga, it's like, it's free. If I don't like it, I'll just leave, right?
Yeah.
And then you get addicted, and you're like, wow, this medium is actually pretty good. And then eventually you become the guy who's willing to buy stuff later. Obviously, there's moral stuff like that, but like stuff like Crunchyroll, and I know there's some websites that I think have figured out a way where they can give you the chapters for free, but it's legal or whatever. Because if
Funimation
Crunchyroll,
Funimation has that for some of their shows.
yeah, but the thing is,
I don't
the
know
th-
about the manga part, honestly.
yeah, I think maybe something like that has to be built for because crazily enough, the illegal sites they do everything right. So there's just a whole breadth of shows that that won't aren't even licensed in America that people are willing to watch.
Yeah,
You know,
there's no. What you're saying is there's no like. I mean, there is
legal
web.
equivalent.
Yeah, there is webtoons, but you don't see a lot of artists that have done things for like DC, Marvel, Image. You don't see them
Or
putting
just a
their
regular comic book format, right?
right. You
With
don't
webtoons, it's very limited to straight up and down, right?
Oh yeah,
with
you
the
just scroll it up and down. But you know
yeah.
the thing is about that, man. The thing is about that is when you're reading on a phone or on the internet or whatever,
Hmm.
like you know, and making comics, he talks about it. Scott McCloud, he talks about
Yeah, 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 yeah. Good book. If
how
you're making comics, get that book.
yeah,
Making Comics by Scott McCloud.
he talks.
Great book.
It is. He talks about the disconnect you feel when you have to reload a page or
Hmm.
load the next page, and the infinite scroll is one of the ways he said would help that. It's just you'd have to design around the infinite scroll,
Infinite Scroll, yeah.
which would be more of a you'd be making a vertical comic as opposed to the
Basically.
left and right like the usually you'd have the cool transitions from left to right. Well, now you got to just make them up and down, and
Yeah.
I mean I don't see the problem with that.
And
It's just you got to
and
it's another design problem you got to solve.
and it's weird because like I'm a comic book uh guy, I guess. I'm not as big. I want to be bigger into comic books, just like I want to be bigger into hip hop and stuff. I know a lot. A lot of people think I know a lot, but I know there's people who know even more than I do. But that being said, I will say there are a lot of people who are making comic books on like websites or whatever that I see.
On their own websites.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
like
but that's
I
not
think the thing,
accessible to everyone.
yeah, right. So
Yeah.
like one of the big things about these amalgam sites or whatever is that you'll see one and then you'll see another that looks interesting.
Mm-hmm. It
You
allows you to
know,
binge.
it allows you to binge and it allows people to see other people's work all in one site, which
Mm-hmm.
honestly is just convenience at the end of the day, right?
Yep.
So
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
it's definitely the way to go. I'm sure there's something out there trying to get started. We just don't know about yet. I feel like we
Yeah.
should do some research. There's probably a website in development for that, if there's
If
not
not,
already one.
that let's put a pin on that idea
Pin on that. Yeah. Yep.
because there's a market there that needs to be freed from its captivity.
Yes.
And if anybody who listens to this is like, "Oh, I can do that," do it.
Do it,
You have our
please.
blessing,
Yeah.
please.
Do it. Become the Netflix of comic books.
Oh, that would be freaking genius. The Netflix of comic books, but like actually try to get every comic book that has ever existed.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, yeah. Well, you do have to get the rights for it and everything.
Yeah, but like if you show viability, people will
Mm.
be willing to get you money, dog. Like what? Nah.
Oh
Um,
yeah. It'd be the
uh, be the Crunchyroll of comic books, even
be the
because
Crunchyroll. Yeah.
obviously you can't beat the illegal teams people by being like free. But the thing is, these all these illegal sites, right? Like I was watching a video on these illegal manga and anime sites. They're making millions a year, millions,
The illegal
and none of it.
ones
Yeah, millions,
through
and they're not going.
advertisements.
Yeah, and they're not going back to the manga and anime industry. That's the sad part.
Wow.
So
Wow.
if you could get like something that was just as good as those illegal ones, without the like yeah, just as big as those illegal ones, but can somehow support the manga industry because obviously, I don't know if you people know the manga and anime industry is like goddamn depressing on how bad like money and stuff is over there. So I don't know if any of you have it in the heart and have the skill and the know-how. Please, we beg of you, help them.
Help.
I want people to be able to live doing what they love, not be suicidal.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah, okay.
I didn't even know that was a problem.
Yeah, it is huge. And it's crazy, right? It's the same illegal things that made it manga and anime popular, but now they've like turned around and made it like, but you're not giving back. Like,
Yeah, they're just taking the
uh,
money. It's not
it's
surprising.
crazy.
It's really not surprising at all.
But it, but it's crazy. Like you would think. if you're making millions, right? At least even if you are doing it illegally, you're like, I love this medium or whatever. I should if I'd be low key more okay with them still being illegal, but if they like donated like I don't know 500,000 into like something that supports the industry, I don't know.
I mean, wouldn't they? Do you think a part of it, other than greed, a
Of
part of it
course,
might be the fear of, when they give that money, they'll get a, you know I don't know, caught, sued, prosecuted. I don't know, like, because of it,
maybe.
because then they'd be telling people, oh yeah, we're the ones.
Well, I mean, obviously with the internet, you could have like a different accounts donating or whatever, but I
Yeah.
don't know. It's weird, dude. Just makes me sad.
Yeah, so they'd be more doing it out of like an honor type of thing.
Like an earnest like we love the industry, not just profit.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because honestly, they do provide a service where Crunchyroll and all them, because they're doing it legally, they have to get licensing. So there's a lot of shows that are we hear about or find interesting that these illegal streams or just torrents can just put on blast, right? Which is the same, which is the reason why we went to these illegal streams or illegal sites in like the mid 2000s or whatever, because we just weren't getting any of it
Yeah.
at all, right? Um, so, but now that there's more, I would hope that, and I don't know, maybe there's something on the Japanese side where they're not willing to license for whatever reason. It's not like there's a market in America. Not like we go to Comic Con and niggas are wearing cosplay and stuff. Or, like, what's anyway?
So, in
Japan's weird.
okay, so I'm sitting here thinking about how this Netflix comic book site would work. So
Yeah,
the way, how like Spotify pays the artists a percentage based on how many times their songs are played,
plays.
right?
Yeah.
So it would be the same. I think that kind of system would be in place for that sort of
Oh,
website, right? Wouldn't that?
that would be
I
genius.
mean,
It'd
would
be based on your popularity of your show.
right?
You'd have to buy into the service, right?
Well, and
That's where
then
Spotify would, the artist or the artist or studio would be like, okay, here's our anime, right? We want to put it on your service, right?
mhm.
And then for every time it gets streamed or an episode gets streamed, we get a dollar payback amount or whatever, right?
Mhm.
Um, yeah, honestly, that would be just bring streaming over to anime and manga, dude. Where like the views would come in that instead of everybody like, but you'd have to be able to really negotiate to get as
Mm.
many or all of the mangas you could. That's the only thing that kills competition between the illegal sites versus the the
The paid
the
ones,
legal sites, the
yeah,
legal ones, right?
right.
Is the illegals are just like f because we're illegal, we can just take from everyone, and therefore they just have more options. And then sometimes there's just shows that aren't licensed to anyone except just and only showing in Japan that are really good that people are like, I want to watch this, so it's only here, so sorry.
Yeah, it's only
Which
on
is
that site.
Japan's problem, which is so dumb, but I don't know. It's a sticky situation, right? I just I just my main goal is for all that money that is being made because obviously they found a market. The illegal streaming sites found the market and are making money hand over fist that Japan isn't for whatever reason noticing
I think
and
they
they're not being
know.
smart about
They know. They're just. I don't know if they know how to
handle it.
handle it. Yeah.
Because the thing is with the illegal sites, right? They keep trying to take them down, right? But you know the internet, like the Pirates Bay has been like tried to be taken down forever, but people are just like, haha, right. Like I'll just change my URL. I'll have multiple IPs. Like I'll, people on the internet are smarter than what you can restrict them. So the best way to beat them is to compete with them, except on a legal side, and then kill them. Literally it. You literally have to use capitalism to destroy them.
Yeah, because
You're
even I think the thing is that people know they know that they're more comfortable paying for a service where they get the same amount as that illegal service. Like
mhm.
even like it doesn't even have to be more. It's just the same. And then of course
Yeah,
the better quality and less risk to you. Like because
and malware.
malware, yeah, people are like, "Oh man, I don't want a virus." Yeah, I'm going to pay for
And
this.
then there's the added thing of if this is literally the equal service, if this is literally equal, except this, you don't even need to have like, you wouldn't even need to like, because these guys don't do ads in the middle. I think that's where Crunchyroll gets messed up, right? These people don't need to do ads as much as Crunchyroll does in the middle of their shows.
Hmm. Oh, on the free version.
Yeah,
Okay, because
like they
I
could do it all. They can do those cancerous sidebar things, but evidently the illegal sites do it, and they're making millions. So, like,
oh yeah, you're
they could
saying why don't the legal sites also have
just do
ads like
that,
that? Yeah, because
and then
the free version, man, it annoyed me so much. I was like, man, I'm just paying for this. Like,
yeah,
I
exactly.
don't care.
Um, I got on the internet, so I don't have commercial breaks.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things where it's like, if you could have a service that competes with the illegal services, right? And I guess we're talking about anime now, but it's whatever. If we could have that and compete with it, it would it would literally have people be like, well, if it's the same, but it's actually helping the industry I like, why would I ever go to the illegal site? That's dumb.
Yeah. Except, I mean, I think the incentive is it's just there. It's there as
Yeah.
long as it's affordable and it's it is a legitimate equal
hmm
to
hmm
those other
You
options.
literally the only way to kill those things is capitalism.
Mm.
This is where capitalism shines. If you're smart, you can kill a lot of illegal stuff if you know how to if you have the right setup. This is where capitalism is at its peak. You can kill
At
bad
its
stuff by
peak.
just being good.
Yeah, getting quality
Uh,
service, quality affordable service.
basically.
Yeah.
Oh no, man. It's crazy, dude. Like stuff like Verve is so interesting to me because I'm like, there we go. Peop there we go. We can have the indie artists actually make money off their animations if it's good, you know?
Mm.
Like um obviously it's like $5 a month and it's crazy because there's so many competing services for that much, but it is still only $5.
Hold on. All right.
Just get a
Hold on.
job.
Hold on.
Yeah.
So you pay? Do you have to pay for Crunchyroll with Verve as well?
No.
What?
No. Everything that's on Crunchyroll is on Verve.
No.
It's literally the best. Yo, just get Verve, dude.
It's $5 a month.
I'm pretty sure it's just $5 a month, and it's like literally everything. I'm gonna Google it right now.
Killing me,
It's
dude.
it's literally $5 a month. Plus, you have all of the Western animation stuff. Let's see.
Yeah,
What
because
is
it has
this?
like, doesn't it have like uh
It has
the
Dan Harmon stuff and like uh,
what is it called? Rooster? Don't they
can
have Rooster Teeth stuff on there?
they have Rooster Teeth stuff.
Yeah, those were the days.
Um.
Red versus blue.
Oh, bruh, that first episode. Like, why are we here? Uh. Well, yeah, man. I'm like, are we the creation of this? He's like, no. Why are we in this valley? He's like, oh. It's so good. That was such a good opening. There's one episode of Red vs. Blue, little side tangent that had me geeked in middle school. It was the what episode? I forgot her name. Dang it. But his like somebody comes through and tells you, he's like, yeah, you dude, your sister's dead. And he's just like, yeah, I don't believe it. What? I, but I just told you she's dead. He's like, look, one time when we were 5, she we were ice skating and she fell through the ice. They're just like, yeah. It's like 5 hours later. Not only was she fine, she came back pregnant. Once you can explain that to me, I'll then believe that she's dead.
Oh my god. Oh my god, dude. That show's great. You know, yeah, man. Oh man. That makes me excited, dude. I'm gonna switch over to that
I'm I'm
Verve.
gonna look up. I'll just double checking. Maybe it might be 10, but
Okay.
still, that's pretty good.
10, yeah, 10 is still fine. But man, it's
And then you also get Bravest Warriors, which I've been yeah. Verve's combo pack offers 8 SOVD channels for 9.99 a month.
okay. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, it's
Discounted bundle free Nerdist. So you get Crunchyroll, Mondo, Funimation, Rooster Teeth, Cartoon Hangover, Nerdist, Geek and Sundry, and Tested for $10 a month.
wow. Wow. Yeah, that's awesome.
There's this cool thing I wanted to watch that's only on I think Mondo, which is really cool, where it's like called Harmon's Quest or whatever. The
Hmm.
guy Dan Harmon, guy who made Rick and Morty and pretty sure The Simpsons and stuff like that. Um, and a lot of other good comedy TV shows. He basically every week has a D&D thing, but then they animate it,
Hmm.
and it's great.
Okay.
Because he just has because he has connections, so he has like voice actors come in for one-off episodes or like funny people come in. It's great.
And
It's actually really
this is
great.
each week?
Weekly, yes.
How the hell?
There's like a season.
How
It's like
long
it's
is
a
the show?
pre-recorded. It's pre-recorded.
But you said it's animated.
Yeah, they animate parts of it. Yes.
Uh, okay. All right. Well, I'll have to see that because weekly animation. That's a
I
little
think I think
little crazy.
I think the whole show was pre-recorded and everything was done, and then they releasing the season as things because you know how Western stuff goes, right?
Oh, right, right,
They get
right,
all their stuff done before they actually air it.
right. Yeah, that's true.
I don't
That's
know why
true.
anime. I don't know why anime does the week to week thing. I don't get it. Literally, if you have the time, just get everything done and then do it weekly if you want. Like, just
Uh,
makes sense.
I don't know, man. They just. I think it's just because of the workload. They probably have a ton of things they have to get out,
Hmm.
and they just got to do them as it comes along.
True. So also with Verb, so here's the research of Verb. Verb, if you want to sponsor us, dude, I'd be totally down. Get that sweet sweet sponsorship money. Um, so there's a pricing called Combo Pack that offers discounts on 8 channels when compared prices. So basically, what Verve does, it gives you a list of channels, and then you can subscribe to them, right?
Hmm.
But you can pick, but it has a combo pack where you can get like about 8 channels for $10 a month, and then you can add channels like one-offs. So like Crunchyroll is $6.99 per month if you, or Funimation's $5.99 per month. Rooster Teeth's $4.99. Cartoon Hanger is $2.99. Mondo is $2.99. Nerdist is $2.49. Greek and Sundry is $2.49. Tested is $3.99. Ginks is $1.75. Machinima is $1.99. Rift CISO, Shutter, they're all different, but the combo pack with all like the cool channels, in my opinion, I don't know about the rest of them, but the cool channels is about $10 a month.
Oh, okay. So they have
And
more
they
than
have,
what they
and then
offer
if
in that pack. It's just
yeah,
that's
yeah, and
your
if you want to add more, you can.
okay. Okay. That makes sense. It's a lot. That sounds a little oddly familiar to cable, but
Yeah, but cheaper.
much cheaper. Yes, much cheaper.
It honestly makes sense, right?
Yeah.
I was listening to this guy named David
Subscription
So.
subscription based services are the thing
The
for
future.
well, the future's the future. We don't know what'll happen.
True.
We don't know what'll happen. There could be some
Well,
crazy stuff in like
yeah.
10, 15, 20 years. I don't know. Maybe less.
Yeah, but this makes so much more sense, right?
Yeah.
Just pay for the stuff you want and also don't have commercials. Like, of course.
I'm just saying because
Duh.
Blockbuster used to be the future.
I mean, they weren't wrong. Blockbuster technically was the future. Is just that they weren't smart. I heard that Blockbuster had the ability to buy Netflix back in like 2000 something. They didn't.
Yeah. Well,
And then
Redbox came through and killed him first. That
yeah,
yeah. That yeah. Yeah, which
sometimes when you're a business, you can't be too sure of yourself. You always got to be looking forward.
looking
Like
forward, it got evolved.
always look with where the technology is going. And Netflix was like,
Quote from my boy The Rock. Heard him say that
yeah,
not too long ago. Got evolved.
yeah. I don't know if Netflix at the time was doing the whole internet thing,
Yeah.
but so maybe that's why they didn't buy them. But when Netflix finally got through and was like, "We'll just do the internet infrastructure thing and have movies on there," the person who owned Blockbuster was like, "Dang it, bruh." There's probably a lot of stuff like that where like people skipped over this small business and then it just became like
The
a,
thing.
the new Rockefeller.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um, but what was our last topic? Bad storytelling.
Bad
I guess we sort
storytelling.
of
Is that where
sort
we're
of went
gonna
through it.
we're gonna end on that?
Yeah, it's like
Okay.
no, it wasn't the art. No. We were roasting comic books. I guess this is the artist part. I guess
Okay. Motivation.
motivation
Doing the where we go deep into the
to the
to
to the
the
core of being an artist.
yeah. Start talking about them art
Man,
stuff.
man, oh man.
So our topic is motivation. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't know if we've done this topic before, but
No, we haven't. I'm pretty sure.
it's it's difficult, right?
Hmm.
Especially for a person whose personality is like me. I'm an ENFP, if I remember right, and I remember reading my profile and being like,
I don't
they're
even know
like,
what that means, honestly.
it's one of the personality profile, extroverted, da 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 da, whatever.
Okay.
Um, and basically, it just it's one of those things where you get basically you're like one of those people who's always into finding new things and discovering things.
Yeah.
Um, so sometimes rigidity is like really discouraging to you.
What is
Like
by rigidity? What do you mean by that?
like doing the same thing over and over and over
Oh
and over
man.
that isn't like creatively stimulating to you.
Yeah.
Like paperwork, I hate it.
Oh,
I despise it.
well,
But like
I think
there's some people in life who are like, I love that stuff because it gives me a sense of
accomplishment.
like that the sense of sameness gives them a sort of like this is safe. Like
Oh, security.
things are predictable. I can
Oh,
control this,
yeah,
right?
they can control. Okay, I get that.
And when I'm like the opposite, where I'm like, this is boring.
Need a little bit of the uncertainty in there.
But the thing is with anything that, especially motivation to keep things going, you sometimes you need to do the boring, the really boring stuff. Sometimes you need to just practice and buckle down.
Oh yeah,
And I think for me, figuring it out was first off having like every day, like having a schedule that like prioritizes that and like gets that going in your head. Um, that was me snapping my fingers, by the way, viewers, or listeners.
sounded just
Is
like snaps. It's all good.
okay. In my head, there's a couple psychological tricks that helps, right? Like people like forget about this, but setting your bed, like that first thing of like I did this, really helps motivate you to keep going.
Yeah,
Also, every morning writing down what you need to do for the day because it actually helps your brain like think about it, and then at night writing what you need to do for the day or the week, or like setting that time where you actually sit down and plan what you need to do. And then also a lot of people, I guess, and this is something I'm learning, a a lot of people plan what they need to do, whether it be work or stuff like this, but also plan what you're going to do with your free time.
Yeah, we did in
Because,
the first episode. We did talk quite a bit about planning. I'm pretty sure,
yeah,
which
um,
that is a part of motivation.
that is a part of motivation. So I'll gloss over it, like planning, all that stuff. But then also, what helps, I know for me is, um, okay, shout outs to Adele, if you're listening and putting this on your stream. This is the part where I shout you out because that was really encouraging. Because for a while I was just like letting myself be distracted, being lazy, being like, I don't want to do this. I felt like life was making me go another way that I didn't want it to go. And then you're just like, hey man, I want to listen to your thing, dude. I'm like, oh, cool, thanks. Like just having people around you is a great motivator. What else is a great motivator for me? Just sometimes I just like will read something or watch something or look study an artist and be like, wow, he did that.
Yeah.
I want to create now. like you see somebody like it's one, I don't know. There's two type of artists, right? I don't understand. I don't really understand the second one, but or the first one because I'm more of the second one. But there's the first type of artists that are like, man, this guy did something great. I'll never do that. I
Hmm.
should stop. And
That's
then I'm
just
like,
yeah.
I
That's
hear it.
just people. It's in general.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a personality thing or like a self insecurity
It's
thing
just
or like,
doubt.
or just maybe it's a, I wanted to be the first to do this. Now I found somebody else who did it. Now I'm not as motivated. Maybe that's that, but
Hmm.
I don't quite get it. My thing is, oh, a human can do it. You've proven to me that humans can actually do that. Cool. I can do
Hmm.
it. Or I could do something similar, or I can do better.
Yeah.
Like I can push it, you know? It's really encouraging. Um,
I think one thing that people kind of miss, and it's been said a few times. I've heard it from Anthony Jones. I've heard it from this guy named Clint Cleary.
mm,
Lot of these guys. Their thing is, I mean, Anthony, he said it straight up. It's not about motivation. It's about perseverance and resilience. You
mm,
know, he's like, there's always going to be moments where you're not motivated and you just do it. It's like you said, you know, when you got to do the boring stuff, you
yep,
just got to do it. Like,
just got to do it.
I think,
And
I think that there's like some part, like moments where you're so demotivated that it's
hmm
hard to do it. Like you just don't want to do it at all. And like in the
yeah,
like it's not that base level, oh, I'm just being lazy. It's more like, man, I feel like crap. Like I
yeah,
need
like
to
I
go
don't
do
want to
I
move.
need to go exercise. I need to go outside. I don't know. I need to go talk with friends, you know, do something
hmm
completely different. I get that, you know, but there's got to be a big space, like a chunk of time where you're actually working, regardless of how you
Yeah,
feel. Like
exactly.
unless it's like really bad, I don't know. Like this is a person to person thing. If it's like really tough, then maybe drawing's not for you. But you know, like but
And
if you there are times where you legitimately enjoy what you're doing, and it
mhm,
just happens to be an off day, well then just
yeah,
do it anyways.
you know, and it's one of those things where it's like, you know, I knew I was an art guy, and same thing with dancing, where I'd get frustrated at the art or the dancing or whatever, and
Yeah.
then I'd leave, but then it always seduced me back. It's like
Mm.
I'm having a girlfriend that you're pissed at her, but you always come back.
Oh my
You're like,
gosh.
God damn it, I love you.
That doesn't sound like a good
Shit.
relationship, man. That sounds like a
Yo,
relationship with an
sometimes,
ex, dude.
sometimes, sometimes art feels like a bad relationship.
Oh no.
Sometimes art is like
You know,
you're just frustrated with it, and you're like, God, I'm not
I
good.
would.
And then after,
Okay, well, there's the frustration with not being good. I get like,
mm,
yeah, that's understandable. But sometimes, um, it might also be just what you're doing specifically. Like
hmm
maybe you know, if it's a thing you already know you like art, you want to draw or you want to dance. In
mm,
that other example,
yeah, yeah,
well then maybe it's it's a particular subject you haven't explored. Maybe you don't realize that that's what you want to draw or dance about,
Mm,
right? Like for me,
yeah.
I know right now I I'm super invested in uh, uh, animal horns,
Oh, the horns. Yeah, the
horns,
tiefling horns.
um, uh, Japanese like dresses, you know,
Oh
the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
kimonos and yukatas or
You're
whatever.
still on that kick right now?
Dude, yeah. And then
That's nice.
Renaissance era clothing and
Ooh,
and
you could
then
make a good setting out of those,
and
all of those things.
and my last one is flowers. And I have like a book on perennials, which is a it's a type of there's two types of flowers, there's annuals and perennials. Anyways, but
Yeah,
like those things keep me going because I want to learn more. Like those things interest me first of all.
bro,
And I
you can make the dopest setting out of all of those
but
things. Oh my
but
gosh,
right, like
my imagination just kicked.
but
Like, whoa.
those things interest me enough to where
Mm,
I spend the time to learn
yeah,
how to draw them and to draw them well, I have to learn the techniques to make them look good, right? So I have to
yep, yep,
learn
yep, yep,
the
yep, yep, yep.
fundamentals to to draw it in the first place. So it's like
Hmm.
it's a way to get yourself interested in like in drawing. Like it's
Yeah,
required. You have to do it.
yeah, yeah. You really just one of those things you got to do.
Yeah, like
Um,
it's just like giving yourself something to make it necessary, to make the practice
would you,
necessary.
I was listening to something Cypher said about, especially because we're going to go back to art, right?
Hmm.
Um, Sometimes people get discouraged because they feel like they're doing something that is necessary, but they don't really like doing. For example, like, I don't know, maybe you hate doing anatomy,
Mm,
right? But you need to do anatomy because you want your characters to look good, right?
right,
For your comic or whatever, right?
right,
He's like, he's like, learn by doing. Make the comic, right? But on the side, be working on your character's anatomy in particular, or work on how your characters will look, and then put that in the comic. Work on the project while also working on your skills at the same time.
right.
Because I was listening to another artist, he was talking about how he actually he actually needs to, because obviously it's his career, right? But he also feels like he needs to improve. So he has to find a way to mix both of those in. For example, like he has to learn, he's like, I suck at architecture, but I need to draw this architecture. So he's like, I'll research the architecture for the story or plot, and then I'll be like thinking about like how where the character is living, and then I'll actually put it in the comic.
Mm,
That way I'm actually improving on it. And obviously I'm gonna be making more stories, so my art's going to improve. I just have to make peace with myself at that part that, you know, that was my skill level at the time, but obviously as I continue to always improve, I will get better,
right.
you know.
Yeah,
So practice, figure out how to practice what you need to do while working on whatever project that you really like,
yeah.
you know.
I agree with that.
um, that's where, I guess maybe that's where I, like, you know, the sketch I showed you, I'm gonna probably put this on my Instagram, listeners, but the sketch I showed you, Fish, right,
Yeah,
where it was like the really my best sketch for the grinding, like the guy with his anatomy and his hands back, and then he was grinding on the railway or whatever.
right.
That was
The one go figure you're talking about.
yeah, the one go figure, no construction lines and everything, and I was
Yeah.
like, wow, I've gotten really good.
Hmm.
That was in service to that project I was talking about, right? Which makes it feel even better
Yeah, yeah,
because I'm like figuring out the poses that the character is gonna do, but also like practicing anatomy, and also like figure, like, you know, like sort of compounding everything makes it easier to do it instead of just being like, okay, I'm gonna have to draw arms all day, and then I'm gonna have to start working on my project. You could be like, no, I'm gonna draw my character's arm. What's gonna be on my character's arm? What is his fashion sense? You know, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Obviously you can pull up reference while looking at it.
Yep.
It makes it a lot easier to do things. There's always ways to help make yourself motivated. Now, when it comes to paperwork, that's a whole nother thing. But
Find someone to do it for you.
find someone to do it for you, or you can find a way to help use that as motivation. There's
Yeah.
always a way to help
Or
you. Like,
or even I think honestly doing things other than drawing makes it easier to draw because then you're like, wow, I miss drawing. Like I need to
I miss
draw.
drawing.
Like I need
Yes.
to draw.
Sometimes you take a break from drawing to do something that is a priority and it sucks, but once you get back to drawing, you're like, I missed you so much.
Yeah. Yep.
My baby.
Yes. Like I was missing the sun for a few days.
Bruh. You probably reflective at this point.
Oh my gosh. That when the no joke when the clouds parted yesterday, I walked outside and I almost stared into the sun. I was so happy.
You cry. Like, I can just imagine you walking around just like a singular tear. It's like Noah's Ark. You know how Noah felt when the clouds parted and he saw the
Oh,
sun and he was like, "Oh,
oh
it's
man.
over."
Yeah, no joke. But doing that, like giving yourself some time away to really appreciate like
Mhm.
what you really want to do.
That's why I've learned, and sometimes even like I was listening to Ethan and Ela from H3H3, their YouTube channel. You
Hmm.
might know them, but they were on their podcast and they're like we learn the appreciation of breaks. Now we actually love our jobs.
Yeah,
Like again, like we were doing our dream job, but we were working so hard every single day that we sort of became sick of it, right?
right.
But then like we started making a pact where we're like, okay, we're gonna work really hard during 5 days of the week, and then the weekends we just then no work. And he's like, yo, it's so much life is so much better now.
Yeah,
So that's what I mean by scheduling in, take some time away from the thing you love because you can even maybe it's just like a relationship. Sometimes you're with a girl for so much time, you just like, ugh, I please. Sometimes you and your girl need to have your own things that you're doing, so that when you get back together, you're like, I missed you.
I think we'll come to that one when we both have a little more experience being with someone for a long time.
Yeah,
Because I don't know that I as much as I mean I guess
I hear that from married couples though. He's
yeah
like,
no
he's like,
yeah
where they're like Charlemagne. There's this guy I listen to is Charlemagne the God. He's a radio host, and he has a podcast. And he's like, sometimes you need guys and need to have something that you do. He's like, I read comic books. She doesn't like comic books, and she knows, but we don't f with each other when we're at that time. And then there's things we do together,
yeah
and like there's a balancing, right? Same thing with work. You might love your work, but if you're doing it all the time and you're always worried about it, eventually you might get to a point where you hate it.
yeah
You hate, and that's a sad thing to get to a point where you hate the thing that you loved.
yeah yeah no joke. No joke. Yeah, and even working to the point where you can't work anymore because of like work
Oh,
related injuries. I saw that recently.
oof.
This one.
Shout outs to our boy, Angry
Oh,
Sausage.
yeah, but I think he's
Shout out, and also Loish. You
lowish.
guys are awesome.
But see, they've well, I think Conva like he's still working on it, like finding a way to help it now, which
Work
is
around
good.
it, yeah.
Because he's only 20. I don't know if he's 21 yet, but he's only 20, so he's learning now how to take care of himself. But there are
Yeah,
people
yeah.
who've there's this one guy I saw recently. I don't remember his name, but
This happens in the manga industry a lot, also, dude.
right there's this
Manga and anime where they like work them. Something about the Japanese work ethic is like if we're not literally trying to kill ourselves doing work, we're not working hard enough.
right yeah, and that's why the break part it's not just for motivation, it's also for your health.
Hmm.
Because I mean you don't want to end up with a crippled hand. You know,
Basically,
I
basically.
because I mean the worst if we're talking about things that are more physical, like
Mm,
dancing, or when I was playing baseball, for example, there's a limited amount of time you can do those things because your body just tells you, right? Like
yeah,
it's so
basically.
physical, it's like, no, I'm done, right? But
Yeah.
because it's
With art,
it's
with art, you can, especially
you're
when you get
tricking
really
yourself.
focused into something. Yeah. We forget the physical aspects of like desk jobs sometimes.
Yeah.
And I've also noticed that like the days that I program like a break into it, like I draw for 2 hours or an hour or so, and then like my alarm goes off and it's like I stretch or something, I walk around, I lift weights, something so that like my range of motion isn't. I use my full range of motion again,
Hmm.
because your body needs that. That helps a lot
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely a
because
big part of it.
some of the as artists we sometimes forget the uh like the physicality of just living life, which actually, to be honest, I feel like that's a lot of the reasons why a lot of things in America are messed up. We've forgotten the physicality of our bodies and how it affects our minds. So it, and not saying like a chemical imbalance isn't an actual disease or something, but sometimes actually taking care of your body helps your mind
Big time. Big time.
and helps motivation. Like actually going to sleep for a period of time, actually eating right. Like
Yeah.
I was living with vegans for a while, and man, I'm not gonna lie to you. Obviously, they let me eat some meat, but like I'm not gonna lie to you, I felt like a lot better.
Yeah.
Like I felt
I
good.
bet. I bet, dude. There's like one thing I like kind of tell myself every once in a while is I lift like more often now, and that's for just my body and the strength of
Mm,
everything, and
mm,
even though I was just doing that, and my thing for a long time had been running, and
mm,
but I realized it's not enough to strengthen my body and get stronger and all that, and
yeah.
keep everything in line and active. And so I went to the gym and I was like, oh yeah, this is enough. I can just lift. And then I started to notice I was like, man, I'm starting to feel like super down. Like what the heck?
Yeah.
Because it wasn't like lifting wasn't enough to like
Hmm.
get what is it? It's not. Is it epinephrine? What the heck is the
Okay.
endorphins? It's not to. It's not
Endorphins.
enough to get that going. So I was like, I
Oh,
need to run. So it was like my
you need
thing for
both. You
my
need your whole body needs to be in motion.
right. Well,
Like
so like lifting is for my body and running is for my mind. Like
mind.
that's
It's meditative.
yeah, that's what I know I need to do. Like I need to keep my mind alert
Mhm.
and well, and for me running
And
does
you
that.
get good ideas when you run. I remember when I was running for soccer, dude. Dude, gives it helps. I think something about running, something about doing something for a long period of time, like running or long distance,
Hmm.
it helps build up willpower. And also during that time, especially when you get into that rhythm of running, where you're just breathing in, breathing out, and you get into like that meditative zone,
Yeah.
sometimes you get some good ideas, dude.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah, and it's also nice because you're outside and breathing.
True.
uh,
Don't forget the power of the sun on a human body, dude.
oh,
We need to be getting that vitamin D, dude.
yeah,
We
yeah.
forget about that now that we've like conquered, in air quotes, nature. We forget that we need to be outside.
Conquered nature when we haven't explored like what more than 5% of the ocean.
Basically. Basically.
Oh man, when like 95% of America would die in the wilderness if they didn't have their
Exactly.
smartphones or whatever
Electricity.
electricity. Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely conquered nature.
Definitely.
But yeah, it's. I think we've pretty much hit the topic. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I think we're good. Should we just chill out our various social media? I promise you guys I'll be posting soon. Uh I have I have some stuff. My Instagram is Lavoid Art, LE period void period art on Instagram. I think you can type in something similar on Twitter.
Oh man, you got to get all
And
that consolidated. Have one thing going.
yeah, I'm thinking about doing that. I think I don't maybe on Twitter it's there's no periods. I forget. I'll fix it, guys. I'll be trying to tweet more. It's just trying to find that balance between social media and not being addicted to social media.
Yeah,
Uh, I think I think I was talking to somebody at my church, and they said one of the great things about being the thing about social media is that it's a great tool, but every time you hop on, you have to have a purpose. If you're just there for like scrolling, you're gonna be there forever.
I agree with
You're
that.
never gonna leave.
I agree with
You
that.
got to be on social media for a purpose and then leave because the psychology of social media will destroy destroy your
Keep you
time and your
in.
mind.
Yeah, yeah. And mine on everything is just fish skills and fish. I mean, if you can't spell fish, then I can't help you, man. And gills
Yeah, bigger
is
problems.
yeah,
You have bigger fish to
gills
fry.
is the first five letters of my last name with an S. Guill. Did I say two L's? It's
Yeah,
only
two
two
L's.
L's, two L's and an S, and
S.
that's on
Yep.
everything. You can go to my Facebook, add me on there, follow me. I don't care. That's just my personal
I
thing.
might need to make a Facebook. I
Yeah.
just
Um,
I need to just bite the bullet and make a Facebook and actually care about it.
you know the speaking on what you're saying about addiction to social media and everything. I was
Hmm.
staying away from Facebook simply for that reason. But with all that
Hmm.
happened with Harvey, I
Hmm.
realized when I saw all my family and friends, keeping in touch with each other, letting each other know, they're safe and everything, it made me see it in a new way
Ah,
where
like the
I'm
good
like,
side of social
yeah,
media.
like I need to stay in contact with people I care about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
that's what I'm going to use Facebook for. So,
I think that's what most people do.
yeah.
Um, and just don't stay there for too long before you get depressed.
Oh my gosh.
Man, Facebook is just a weird. I was talking to people at my church about how Facebook's just a roller coaster of emotion, and evidently there's like they did experiments on like how like what if Facebook could like Facebook did an experiment. I don't know of, like how, if they could change how people posted. So what they did is without telling people they like took a bunch of negative people's posts and put it on people's like timeline so they'd scroll through and then of course eventually people who would usually post cheery stuff started posting sad stuff obviously because all they were seeing on Facebook was sad stuff.
Sad stuff. Yeah.
um
I get that. I think I in regards to the thing about your circle becomes
mhm,
tighter because you
mhm.
unfriend people you disagree with. You
Yeah,
heard about that?
you stay in an echo
Echo
chamber.
chamber, right? Yeah, I make sure when I disagree with someone to stay their friend. I
Yeah,
make
that's one of those
sure.
things.
I'm like,
That
what?
was
I
one of those
disagree with
things
you,
that I
but
did as well.
man, we've known each other so long. I'm not going to worry about that. I need
And
your
it's
opinion.
crazy.
You need
You need dissenting
opposing.
opinions.
Yes, you need them.
It keeps you well rounded. I feel like that's just that's a huge topic in and of itself. That
Yeah, we
probably
won't go
explains
there.
some that explains so much about like American politics to discourse in general, how
Yeah,
like this whole unfriending nature of people that you don't like or disagree with has become a thing.
yeah.
So it's basically made it so that people aren't willing to have conversations. They're just like, I don't want to talk to you
Mm-hmm.
because you challenge my belief system.
Yep.
And that's not healthy. That's not good.
Yeah,
Because
you got to get
then
challenged, man.
yeah, it literally destroys the whole foundation of the democratic like thing of ideas. It makes it so
But
that,
we
but
won't get
it's whatever.
into that too deep
We
because
won't.
we.
Yeah, we could. Woo, bruh, that would be a whole. We'd need a whole start a whole different podcast for that.
Oh no.
Uh,
Oh
and I
no.
wouldn't. I don't know if I have it in
I
me to start another
I don't
podcast,
know. Politic podcast. No, thank you. I'm good.
bruh.
I'm good.
Bruh, I don't even think I would want to do politics per se. Just
Just
ideas
ideas.
of
Got you.
people being dumb.
Yeah, I got you.
But
All
that's another
right.
time.
Well,
Thank you for joining us.
yes. Thank you, everyone.
We'll be back. We're back, guys.
We
Yeah,
are
guess who's
back.
back?
We are back
Back
again.
again.
Back again.
The C squared. All right.
All right.
Y'all have a good day.
Later, everyone.
All right. Bye.
Bye.